Aladdin is directed by Guy Ritchie and is the latest Disney live-action remake, and it's one of the ones that more closely follows the original storyline, so more like Beauty and the Beast and Cinderella than Pete's Dragon, Dumbo and Maleficent. I love the original, I've watched it countless times, it's probably my second favourite of all the Disney animated films. Whole New World is easily in top 5 of all the Disney songs. The soundtrack as a whole is fantastic. Robin Williams as the genie is one of the highlights of my childhood. Jafar has a great voice and a great look. He's one of the classic Disney villains, and my feelings towards Princess Jasmine were confusing. Okay, they weren't that confusing, she was really hot, but this isn't like a Lola Bunny situation, at least she was human. So with all that said, this wasn't too bad. It doesn't have the fast pace or artistic style of the animation of the original, but I'm still glad that I saw it. Let's start with the most important thing. Will Smith as the genie is good. He's good. He's not as good as Robin Williams, no one was ever going to be, and he doesn't try to copy Williams' performance, even though a lot of the dialogue is almost word for word. The thing that sells Smith's genie for me is that he's fun. And it's clear that Will Smith is having fun playing the part. The only times where it doesn't really work for me is where he has to act sad or solemn. I think it might be the cinematography or something else, because this is Will Smith. He can do this sort of thing in his sleep. I just know that whenever Jafar is controlling the lamp and he's making the genie do things that he doesn't want to do, bad things, Smith's reactions just don't really work. But when the genie's using his magic, like during the Friend Like Me sequence where he's making things appear and fly around and making himself like really tiny and then giant, all that stuff worked really well for me. I thought that the actor playing Aladdin was good. He has the right look and he's likable, but I also thought that he was just a wee bit too smooth with Jasmine at the beginning of the film. I mean, there's no way that this isn't the hottest girl he's ever seen, but there's no moment where he's like, wow. He's just like, do you trust me? Of course you do. Look at my face! It works better later on when he's a bit more bumbling, but I think that the contrast might be a bit too big. Jafar's not as bad as I thought he'd be. There's some good moments where they give him some backstory and they draw some comparisons between him and Aladdin, between their backgrounds, and how what one of them wants is just a more extreme version of what the other wants. But when you compare this to the original, I think that Jafar probably comes across the worst. He just looks like a normal guy in a big hat, and the actor doesn't really bring that much to the role. He's a lot more slimy than he was in the original, but he's not as evil or as funny, and the magic that he uses isn't nearly as cool. I think that of all the characters, Jasmine's probably handled the best. She has a lot of silly things to say, but the actress really makes it all sound very believable. She also had to overcome a pretty bad introduction scene where she sees two kids looking hungry and she just takes bread off the stall and gives it to them, and thinks that because they were hungry is a good enough reason not to have to pay, and doesn't understand why the owner of the stall is so pissed off. I mean, the same thing happens in the original, but it's just handled a bit better there. In the original, it's more understandable that she makes this mistake, but then you completely side with her because the stall owner's about to cut off her hand in a rage, so you don't like him. But in this one, you just kind of feel bad that this guy's doing his job and these people are coming and stealing from him. It also rubbed me the wrong way when the foreign prince comes to try to marry Jasmine and she just treats him like shit. It made sense in the original because if I'm remembering right, the prince tried to whip an innocent child and then he insults Aladdin, so we know that that guy's a dick. But this guy is just kind of goofy. He has a funny accent and he tries to be nice to her tiger, and she's just a complete bitch to him. Again, she's able to overcome it in the rest of the film with her likability, but it's just one of those changes from the original that makes it worse. This is also another case of them trying to give a Disney princess more agency and more to do, but I think that this is the first time that it actually worked for me. The idea that she could become the next sultan so she doesn't have to marry a prince, and just because this is the way things have always been done doesn't mean it can't be changed. I like that. And the movie doesn't make it feel forced and preachy. It doesn't turn every man in the film or even the villain into cartoonish misogynists just to make its point, because I think that this is a concept that the majority of modern audiences can get behind. The only original song in the whole film is sung by her, and it doesn't really work. I mean, it's a fine song and she's probably the best singer out of the whole cast, and it's Alan Menken. But the style of the song sounds very out of place, and the visuals that show up while she's singing don't really fit with the rest of the film or even with the theme of the song. I usually prefer it when they use practical instead of CG effects, but in this film I actually felt the opposite, especially with the locations. I thought that the CGI looked great compared to the actual sets that they used. Whenever we're in the palace, everything looks nice, but it feels so small and cramped. It's the one thing that I always miss when they do these live action adaptations, is the massive scale of everything that seems to come so easily to animation. Every time we're in Agrabah on the streets in this film, it feels like a stunt show at Disneyland. I mean, I know that it's a set, but it's not supposed to look or feel like it's a set. Some things did bother me. I like the idea of the genie having a love interest. It fits with this version of his character, but it wasn't well done at all. It's barely developed, and the actress says her lines like she's on stage at an Aladdin pantomime. The film's a bit slow before we get to the Cave of Wonders scene. It didn't seem like the genie kept his powers after he gets freed at the end, which is a bit disappointing, but it probably makes more sense. I didn't like it in the Beauty and the Beast remake where the filmmakers tried to fix plot holes from the original, but the one thing that I did want them to change here was when Aladdin wishes for the genie to turn him into a prince, the genie doesn't. He doesn't here, he doesn't in the original either. He makes him look like a prince and he helps him pretend to be a prince, but he doesn't actually turn him into a prince. And then at the end of the film, the genie's just like,
Al, no problem. You still got one wish left. Just say the word and you're a prince again.
It seemed like they were going to fix it here because the genie talks about how Aladdin needs to be very specific with the wording of his wishes because the genie can operate in kind of a grey area and maybe not give Aladdin exactly what he wants. All he had to do was have Aladdin say something vague like, I wish people thought I was a prince, or something like that. And I can't believe that I never thought of this before, but have Jasmine rub the lamp too and get some extra wishes out of the genie before you set him free. Come on guys, it's free wishes. This is probably the least Guy Ritchie film that Guy Ritchie has ever made, and he probably wasn't the right choice to direct, but he does a fine job. I also get the feeling that maybe he only did this as a favour to Disney so that some point down the line they're going to finance some mad project of his, or maybe he did it as payback for a project they already funded. I don't know, it's just a feeling. I'm going to give Aladdin a B-. It's probably my second favourite of the live action remakes after Beauty and the Beast, and next up is The Lion King, and I am really not looking forward to that. I think I might be the one guy on earth who doesn't love The Lion King. I mean, it's okay, but I really don't get the hype. There is one moment I love though.
Long live the king.
Seriously, Jeremy Irons is awesome, and that's such a cool line. Thank you very much for watching my review. Please like and subscribe. It helps me out. It helps the channel grow. And follow me on Twitter at @LookToTheMovies. Comment down below and let me know if you've seen Aladdin, what you thought of it, if you liked it, disliked it, if you agree or disagree with any of my points, or if you have any points of your own. I'll be back soon with more reviews, and I will see you then.